Okay, so I'm going to do this as part one, part two, because I'm probably not going to edit these two videos together. But the last video ended with me turning off the recorder to dial 911. Easy peasy. The lady was crying. She had a swollen face. She had a bloody face. She was talking about having broken ribs. I called 911, and as I'm on the phone with 911, she walks away. She walks across the street, and I tell them, I'm like, you know, she's now walking across the street. That if that ambulance is coming for her, they just passed her. So luckily, while I was on the phone, a couple of Denver Rangers drove by, or they ran by. They're like, "Are you on the phone with 911?" And I said, "Yes." And then they followed her, but then she kept walking like she thought she was going to be in trouble. And they are still, as far as I know, walking, following her, trying to make sure she gets the help that she needs. Because I did tell the 911 operator that she did ask me to call and that the Rangers were on site. So hopefully they can coordinate with the Denver Rangers, the ambulance or the police or whoever needs to show up. So, yeah. I don't know if this woman got sideswiped by a car. I don't know if she got into a fight with, I don't know if she's homeless and got into a fight with another homeless person. You know, for all I know, she was sitting on the overpass and she fell and landed face first on the concrete below. Is that the fire truck? I'm looking across the street. There's I wanted to see if they stopped for her. But yeah. Oopsie. But yeah, the Rangers were on it. Yeah, again, I don't know if she got beat up by another homeless person because, you know, you guys have been on enough rides with me to know that there's homeless people in the vicinity. And again, I don't have any personal issues with homeless people unless, you know, it's like that. But here we are. Hopefully she gets the help that she needs because, you know, her face was swollen. She was bleeding from a couple cuts. I didn't see any bruising, but if it had just happened, which it looked like it had just happened, bruising may not have settled in yet. And luckily the hospital's directly to our right. She could have walked over to the emergency room and been just fine. So, but yeah, hopefully she gets the help that she needs. Now the 911 operator did ask me if she appeared to be intoxicated or on drugs or in any way, shape, or form. Hold on. Again, I don't know if that's related. And I said, you know, I told her, I said, I am not equipped to make that evaluation. I know she's bloody. I know her face is swollen. I know she was crying and talking about her ribs being broken. But I also know if she just had a traumatic experience, that could explain how she appears disoriented. And you know, and then she asked again, she goes, well, can you tell if she's intoxicated or high or on any kind of drugs or anything? And I said, I am not equipped to make that evaluation. I am not a specialist in this field. Now, does she smell alcoholic or anything? No. You know, but does that mean she's not on marijuana right now? No. Does that mean she's not on mushrooms or even meth? I mean, the building that I live in is that I'm currently in while I look for another place is anybody coming? This dude went, so I'm gonna go. Oh, look at that. I mean, we've driven by on the sidewalk of this building across the street. The funky wizard's chest right there. But yeah, it looks different from this side. Let's actually turn down the speed here. I don't need to go that fast if I'm just going to be stopping at every street light. So yeah, that was my good deed for the day, I guess. I don't know. Did I lose the $5 that was in my pocket? Nope. Okay. I had a $5 bill in my pocket. I thought maybe when I pulled my phone out, sometimes it pulls the $5 out. So I thought maybe something like that, the cash out. I thought maybe something like that had happened, but now I'm just remembering my phone was on my bike, not in my pocket. So what am I talking about? Yeah, anywho. Yeah, see, red light. There's no reason to go fast if I'm just going to be getting all the lights. And I'm not worried about traffic per se, especially if it's a one-way road, but this is a two-way road, so we take extra precaution. And we hope the guy is not trying to take a left-hand turn. So, yeah, I know the Rangers had her. I don't know if somebody called them originally or if somebody else called 911 first. I don't know. But I know the Rangers were on site. I know they can coordinate with ambulance and police or anybody else. But what shocked me was when the Rangers showed up, she started to walk away. So I don't know if she thought she was going to be in trouble, you know, if she was going to be incarcerated or deported or something. You know, who knows? Denver's not doing that, but who knows with, you know, what's going on in this country right now. So yeah, really, I've seen things like that happen. I've seen the aftermaths, but I've never been like first on scene like that before, so that was kind of shocking for me. Yeah, she was asking me to feel her ribs. I'm like, I'm not feeling her ribs. I don't need somebody to, you know, come back in a day or two when they're sober and be like, that guy tried to feel me up. And I'm definitely not a doctor. I can't feel your ribs and tell you if they're broken or not. Not unless something's sticking out of your shirt. Well, at least for the moment, I'm making all the lights. So that's nice. But yeah, life in the city. Oops, excuse me. So yeah, I was talking about headsets, and then I was talking about, I was photographing my friend's daughter. I need to go through and pick all the photos that are decent because I was shooting in a very wide aperture, which means that anything, you know, an inch here, moving an inch back, an inch forward, can make the photo blurry. Now, I wasn't going to shoot in such a wide aperture, but I don't do a lot of headshots. I don't do a lot of portraiture. Portraiture, yeah. I thought I said portraiture, but I meant portraiture. So I was watching some YouTube videos, like I said the other day, I'm going to have to do to kind of get some ideas for, you know, the best way to do this. You know, because I normally shoot like still life or scenery, street, you know, stuff where there's people in it maybe, especially street, but not something where people are the focus. So fast forward, and I got to do that maybe this afternoon or something. Because I told them I'd go through, find all the good photos, put them in a shared drive, and they could pick the 5 or 6 they wanted me to edit for her senior, you know, for her yearbook or senior whatever they do. Because when I was a kid, you know, the school hired a photographer, and you came in, you sat down, they took your picture, and you moved on. Hey, puppy, what's up? Which was nice. It was convenient. Now, you know, all the kids go out and they pose and they put on outfits and they try different things. And everybody has their own unique style and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, well. I hear another fire truck. Oh, yeah, right down there. Ambulance. Directly 90 degrees to my right. Ooh, something smelled good. I keep seeing these cars coming over here to park, and I keep freaking out, thinking they're coming over here. But yeah, I just smelled some good food. Something smelled good. There is a supermarket right there, Safeway. I prefer King Supers, but you know, in a pinch, Safeway will do. Just because there's some things at King Supers that I really like to buy, and you know, it's like Target versus Walmart. I don't like to shop at Walmart, but I shop there because I can, you know, if you go to Target and Walmart, you grab the same can of chicken noodle soup, you know, Campbell's chicken noodle soup, let's say. You know, at Target it might be $1.50, at Walmart it might be $1.35. If I'm just going in for one thing, sure, I'll go to Target, I'll spend a little bit extra money, but how often do we really do that? Ambulance is coming this way, so I think the one that was at my 90 degree is coming this way. But yeah, same thing with the King Supers and Safeway. They carry the same stuff, but you know, it's usually a slightly bit cheaper at King Supers than Safeway, which is always nice. This is a Sam's Club, I think, yeah. Oops. I'll go there before that guy tries to make the light turned yellow, so I thought it was safe to go, and then a car started coming up. I was like, shoot, what are the odds he's the kind of guy that's gonna try and gun it to make the light? So, yeah, so anywho, I got to do that. And then I had a friend come over yesterday to my place. We went and had lunch. I've only known her for about 6 weeks, maybe pushing 2 months. I made a video about it a while ago. I wasn't riding a bike, I was sitting in a park. But I was kind of talking about the issue because I met her. I pulled up to the gym. She was in the parking lot. We just started talking. No big deal. I saw that she had a dog with her. We started talking about dogs. We started talking about living in that town. We started talking about a lot of things, and the conversation just organically went this way and that way. And she's moderately attractive. I'm not gonna say like the best looking woman I've ever met. She's very bright blue eyes, like almost like that kind of that blue that's almost white, like very bright blue eyes, like lighter than this sky right now, blue. Blonde hair or sandy blonde, very thin. She's got I guess she was a yoga instructor or something for a while, so she has that kind of lithe physique, and she's probably not unattractive. I mean, that's the best way I can determine to describe her. Like, she's not unattractive, but she's not like super attractive. She looks like she had a rough life. I'm not talking like being in the sun and just aging poorly. I'm talking like she's a smoker. She smokes cigarettes and weed. She's told me stories about when she was younger and the things that she would do, and when she was in her early 20s and mid 20s, and the different drugs that she was on and the different jobs that she had, and she was telling me about the fathers of her children, because she has 2 baby daddies of her 3 babies, and one of them went to prison for murder or something. And yeah, I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there the whole time she's telling me all this stuff, because she went over it again yesterday, and I'm like, is she trying to tell me she likes a certain type of dude, because she seems to keep going after a certain kind of dude? Is she trying to tell me don't mess with her because every guy that's messed with her has ended up in prison? What is she trying to say to me here? And then I started thinking, well, crap, am I overthinking all of this? Is she just telling me a story and there's no subtlety, subtext to it whatsoever? What's going on? And then I told her, I started giggling at certain points because, I was inebriated myself. I mean, we'll just say that. I started giggling a couple of times, and she's like, what's so funny? And I'm like, oh, just the stuff that's going through my head while you're talking. I'm listening to you, I'm hearing your story, but I'm also thinking, there's another part of my brain that's thinking about, if the best way to put it, and this started happening when I was, quote unquote, inebriated a few months ago, when I was watching, I think, YouTube videos or something, and I started I was watching a TV show, just a crappy little cheap TV show, nothing serious. It may even have been one of those 1 or 2 season type shows. You can see the mountains in the distance. Mount Evans is right there. It's over here. All the snow finally melted off, so I guess summer's gone. Because that's a 14er, so there's usually still snow at the top even through until late summer. So, but it started happening while I watch a TV show, And while I'm paying attention to the show with part of my mind, the other part's wondering, like, what's going on in the behind the scenes in the production that caused this storyline. Like, you know, when the characters are fighting, I'm like, is this a fight, you know, somebody was writing about as a, you know, to talk about a fight they had with their spouse? Is this an argument between writers in the writer's room because they flirted a little bit and then one of them got dismissed? You know, or, you know, that character right there that has like the 2-word line, is that character, did they get the 2-word line because it's the cousin of the director, and, you know, he's, in order to make his mom happy, he's like, fine, I'll get my cousin's daughter a 2-word line in the show or something, you know, that kind of thing. And it's just been fun to like watch things and go, okay, what's really going on in the background? What's caused all this? So that's what I was doing with her. It's kind of like you're listening, but you're also seeing all the metaphor. You know, all the, you know, what's happening and how it's being translated to screen. What's actually being said. And it's kind of interesting. I'm wondering if that's how conspiracy theories think. Like when somebody says, you know, the dog is black, and instead of thinking of a black dog, they are thinking about a code word that's supposed to invoke feelings of betrayal by a person of trust. And, you know, the black dog is supposed to be a symbol because the person who betrayed the trust had a black dog once when they were 12, and it got taken away in murder, you know, and put down for not being trained or something. And I'm like, what's really going on here? As opposed to, okay, this is what's going on. And it's funny because after I started having this experience while I'm, you know, watching TV or whatever, while I'm, you know, quote unquote inebriated, I started, you know, I went back to like 6th grade English, junior high English classes or literature classes, when the teachers are always like, well, what are they really saying? What are they talking about? What's the subtext? What's the metaphor? What's the allegory? And I'm like, holy shit, all of this started making sense. So yeah, I don't know why they were so timid about turning. They have, it's a one-way road. They have the right to turn. Like, I'm not even on the street. I'm still a good yard and a half away from the street, so it's not like, and this truck is going, I don't know what he's doing. Thank you. I was going to let him decide. I didn't know if he was turning because he didn't have his blinker on. So I was looking at him, and then he waved me forward, and I was like, okay, cool, thanks. But yeah, just, you know, those little things, like things that I don't normally think about, but it's things that like toil around in the back of my mind because, you know, somebody comes up and says, oh yeah, this, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, when this person said this and that person said that, or when they got over a fight over this, it was actually a fight over that. And I'm like, oh, I mean, that actually makes sense, but I didn't think of it from that direction. I thought about it at face value. Like, they're arguing about whose turn it is to do the dishes. I'm thinking they lost track of whose turn it was to do the dishes, or some, you know, some rule about who's doing dishes on this particular day. Like, is it every other day? Is it I cook, you clean? Is it, you know, anytime you come home late for work, your job's to do the dishes? Like, you know, I'm thinking these things. Like, you know, why are they fighting? You know, this is a dumb thing to fight over. Unless, you know, you have a partner that never does anything, and in which case it is a good fight. Because, you know, you're partners. You should be sharing responsibilities as much as you share experiences and joy. And that means, you know, doing your part around the house. That's why I don't get it. Like, I've known some dudes that are like, no, my older brother, and I have to make that distinction because I have 3 brothers. My older brother does that. He met a woman, got her pregnant, because apparently, you know, drunken one night stand thing. And he's like, yeah, she's going to move in with me. She's going to take care of my house and my kids. Like, he wanted that 1950s housewife. And it's like, dude, And then he would, you talk to him on the phone, and he's complaining that she's not keeping the house clean enough, or she's not she's not cooking dinner for him on time. When he comes home from work, he wants dinner on the table, that kind of thing. Yeah, my brother's a jackass. So, and I was like, dude, you are perfectly capable of cleaning your house. He's like, well, I have a job. I shouldn't have to clean the house. It's your house. Clean it. Like, it's called being an adult. He's like, well, that's what I have her for. No. If you don't like the way the house looks, you are perfectly capable of doing it. Full stop. So we had that conversation a few times. They only lasted like a year or two together. Then they split up, and he ended up getting 100% custody of their daughter. Because the mom is, let's just say she's worse than my brother, and my brother is not the best person. Like, he had child services called on him because he would not buy his daughter new clothes, would not buy her toothbrush, would not get her toothpaste, would not allow her to take showers because it used the water. That's who my brother was. Until the neighbor, who was like 10 years younger than my brother, who already had like 3 kids, told him, you need to start taking care of your child, because she was over there all the time playing with that neighbor's kids. You need to start taking care of your daughter, or I will have her taken away. This is bullshit. Which is good. We don't say good on good old boys, rednecks that often, but the moral and ethical ones, they are some of the best people to have at your side. Just like biker groups. It doesn't matter what biker group it is. If they are acting in a moral or ethical fashion, they're the best people to have on your side. For example, you break down on the side of the road, if they come up and give you a hand, they will defend you for the rest of their life if you are nice to them. There's an old story out there about, if you ever get in trouble, especially a woman, if you ever get in trouble, if you're ever scared, if anybody's ever after you, you go up to a biker group. And you say, hey, I need help. Find one of the women. Hey, I need help. I'm being stalked. I'm being scared. This guy won't leave me alone. The bikers will step in. And that's the kind of good aggressiveness that we need in this world. Not the kind where, you're the asshole. But yeah, his neighbor threatened even my other brother. From what I heard through family that my other brother actually went up there and talked to a lawyer about getting custody, before she was taken away by the state. But the lawyer told her, because they live in different states, the lawyer told my brother, if our brother is considered an unfit parent, the mother would automatically get custody. Well, the mother was the worst possible solution. So he backed off, and the family, my brothers, my dad, and other people, stepped up to try and be a little bit more involved, even though he lives alone on a 3-acre plot of land in rural Illinois, and everybody else lives in either Florida or out here in Colorado, which would be me. I'm the only one out here. So he ended up, he straightened his act up a little bit. Like, it was no longer like gross negligence. It was more, just being a lazy parent, but there's no rules against being a lazy parent. You don't have to go to PTA meetings. You don't have to play ball or have tea parties with your children or whatever. And he, being an alcoholic, he wants to do none of that. He's more of the, like our dad was, more of the children should be not seen or heard, but damn, isn't it great making them. That was my dad's philosophy. And my other brothers kind of has a little bit of that philosophy. Don't get me wrong, he plays with his, he does stuff with his kids, but it's, when I see it, it seems like more superficial stuff. Like I said the other day, he'll buy them lessons instead of teaching them. He'll take them to, he'll pay for them to take classes instead of learning it with them. He doesn't want to teach his son to play catch. He wants his son to play catch so they can go play catch. And it's like, you have to put in the groundwork. I mean, this isn't rocket science, dude. These are the memories that you make with children. You know, when you're older and your kids aren't calling you and you're sitting there at night wondering, you know, why you haven't heard from your kid in weeks or months or even years, you're not going to be thinking about, oh, well, we used to sit on the couch and watch TV together all the time. I don't know why he doesn't call me or she doesn't call me. Well, that's because you have no connection. You know, your son or your daughter isn't thinking about, oh yeah, we watch TV a lot. They're thinking about, oh, dad never did anything with us. Mom never did anything with us. You know, sure, we go on family vacations, but he didn't, you know, do anything. You know, he wasn't our little league coach. The little white guy says it's okay to go. Only because the walking signal is a little white guy. I know, I wondered about that. I'm like, somebody's got to write an essay or something about how it's the white means go and colored means stop. There's got to be a metaphor in there about something. Yeah, I mean, if all the go lights were like amber or something, like bicycles or pedestrians go, and an amber, at least it would be like ambiguous, like Homer Simpson. But yeah, anywho, sorry, it makes me laugh whenever I see it. But yeah, there's the little things you do, like doing coloring books at night, helping with homework. Those are the things the kids remember. You know, listening to them talk when they're saying absolutely nothing. Those are the things they remember. You know, spending time with them, teasing them, having a good time, joking around, you know, doing the things that, you know, parents should do with children are the things they remember. Like, I don't remember our dad doing anything with us. I mean, my dad was a jackass, but I didn't realize that until I was an adult. Because, you know, when you're a kid, you think your parents are the best things in the world. But I moved away. I joined the military. I moved away. Even when I got out of the military, I stayed away. I stayed on the other side of the country. When I come home, or when I go back to Florida, I would see, you know, not my parents as parents, but as, you know, individual adults who I have that parent-child bond with. But, you know, I also had to look at him like, I'm an adult now, too. And that's when I saw my dad as just an asshole. He is. I noticed every time I came to Florida, whether it was once a year or once every other year or whatever, he always had a different group of friends. He could not keep a group of friends. So does that mean he never had good friends? And only had superficial friends? I don't know. Or maybe he was just a jerk to his friends and they got tired of it. I don't know. There were very few people that he hung out with for, you know, years at a time. And usually they were on the alcoholic side, which I didn't notice until I was older. I was like, oh crap, these people, like, you know, you go to lunch, these people are drinking. Dinner, these people are drinking. You know, at a poolside barbecue in the afternoon, you know, they're drinking. Go to the beach or go out on a boat, they're always drinking. And I'm like, oh, like these people are alcoholics. Like they cannot go 5 minutes without a drink. But that also describes my dad. Yeah, so anywho, my dad was a jerk. And my mom, who had primary custody of us, I always thought it was a monetary issue. You know, was she, you know, she couldn't afford, you know, because single mom, and my dad, I talked about it yesterday, did not pay child support. Like 2 or 3 times a year, he'd give her some money. He would even cheat his taxes by, we're going into the wind, so there may be some wind noise. Actually, I'm probably going to pull over up here where there's a little parking lot and check the settings on the thing to see if it, because I had to reset them the other day. I reset them yesterday to see if I could fix the sound issue. And I had wind noise reduction turned on, and I don't know if I turned that off. I also didn't realize it was this windy. But, you know, I always thought it was because my mom, you know, made barely above minimum wage. She worked at a bank, you know, as a teller. So I think at best she made maybe 15 or 17 bucks an hour. I'm not 100% sure because, you know, what she makes is none of my business. If she wants to share it with me, that's fine. But it's not my business to ask unless she asks, like, can you help me with my finances? Which I'm not a finance person, but my mom wouldn't listen anyway. That's this whole other issue. But, you know, we grew up in Florida. 3 miles from the beach as the crow flies. You know, 4 miles as you have to drive because you have to drive up one road, go over a bridge, go down the bridge to the other road, and the beach is right there. You know, Cape Canaveral was only a half an hour drive away. And when I was a kid, it was free. We could have gone every weekend for free for, you know, just to go as an afternoon as something to do. But we almost never went unless somebody was in town. Disney World, Sea World, all those Orlando parks were only an hour away. We never went unless somebody was in town. Like an aunt or a cousin or, you know, my mom's high school friends, you know, son and daughter with their kids or something. You know, it was never, you know, yeah, you know, let me take the kids and do something. It was always, oh, well, we'll bring the kids along while you do something. So, and I, like I said, as a kid, I just always thought it was because it was a money issue, which to some extent it was. But I also look at my mother as an adult, and I see, like, she does not, she is, you know, it's kind of sad, because she's one of those people who refuses to go out and do anything that she has never done before. She doesn't do anything on her own. Like, she's not the kind of person that's going to walk up and down the street on her own, even though she lives in a very safe neighborhood. She's not the kind of person that's going to go, you know, because I even told her, I said, well, join like a Facebook group for retirees. And I mean, they have activity groups. They go to museums, they'll go to lunches, they'll go to, you know, concerts or something, maybe festivals or whatever as a group. Like, go do something like that. She goes, well, I don't know any of those people. Well, you don't know anybody until you meet them. She's like, well, I don't know how to meet them. And I'm like, you show up and you say hi. It's really that simple. But yeah, this is the parking lot. I thought I'd pull over and see if I'm recording or if I have wind reduction on. But I'm not going to because I think it's going to require me to stop recording. And I don't want to do that. So, I don't want to do that again, I should say, because then I'll just be thinking that I'm obligated to stitch a couple of these videos together so you guys don't have to watch multiple videos. But yeah, my mom is not an outgoing person. She is an extrovert. She loves the attention, but she won't go get the attention. She won't go meet anybody new. And that's because, you know, out of the blue one day, she moved to Tampa. And she still had the house she bought when I was like 16. You know, so she was in that house for 30 years. And then when my brother, he moved to Tampa, and she'd drive over once a month, once every other month or so, and stay with him. He'd go over to my hometown and stay with her for a day or two, you know, blah, 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 that kind of thing, you know, or a weekend here or there, you know, holidays, whatever. And then he started having kids, and she decided the 2-hour drive was too far. She wanted to be closer, so she literally sold her house and moved over there. And I remember calling my brother up. I was like, did she ask you if you wanted her closer? And he's like, nope. Did she ask you if you were comfortable with her moving closer? And he goes, nope. I was like, what's her plan? He's like, I have no freaking idea. She called me up and she said she's gonna sell the house and move over here, and that's all I know. And then he had to rent an RV for her to live in his driveway for like a year or two. And then when he decided, he finally got his the job he wanted, he started making money, he bought a piece of property and built a house. And she didn't ask, she just said, and this is how my mom does it, this is how she guilts you into things. Well, why don't I just give you some money from her home sale, and you can, and we'll put a little mother-in-law's apartment on the house, you know, on your property. And my brother's a nice guy, and he did not say no. I would have been like, no. You can go rent an apartment, buy a condo or a townhouse or whatever, but you're not living here. But that's me. I like my space, I like my privacy, and mothers give you neither. But yeah, it's just the difference of, seeing your parents as parents and seeing them as adults, seeing them as individual adults. But yeah, because I was telling somebody this story yesterday, that's why it's on my mind. The girl that I started talking about earlier that I met like 2 months ago, and we had lunch yesterday. She came up to see the place. I think she was flirting with me, but if she was, her flirting game sucks. If she wasn't, then it just means that I was reading into what she was saying, and I'm like, I don't know if she's using ambiguity and metaphors and stuff to say she's flirting with me. Like, am I reading too much into it? Anywho, but I was telling her this story. I said, yeah, I went home one time before my mom moved, and I went down to a local library, because I like libraries, and I found a book about, I was looking for books on things to do in that area. Like, what are things I don't know? And I found a book called Weird Things in Florida You Didn't Know Existed. And there were so many things within an hour drive of my hometown that I did not know existed. Things that were either free or extremely cheap. Like, there's a little bay that is the namesake of my hometown. And when I went to visit it, because I'm like, holy crap, I never knew this existed. It's like a mile and a half from my mom's house. I never knew it was there. I mean, I knew, like right here, like I know the river's to my right. Like I know it's there. I know, you know what? I do want to turn here. Not this way. Although, you know what? Let's go around, I got enough battery. Let's go around Bronco Stadium here real quick. For you football fans. This is where the Broncos play. And we're going to go around it real quick. I've been here a few times. I've only been to one football game, but I've been to numerous events here in the club levels and stuff. I used to be semi-important. But, yeah, we're just going to go around here real quick, and then we'll head back to the trail. Again, I'm just out here because I can be. But, yeah, I found all these, like, cool little things. Like, the river was right there. But imagine there's like a section of the river that you just don't see from the road. And you drive by it or you go by it a gazillion times. Like, how many times have you heard me say, like, oh, I've driven by this area a gazillion times, but I've never seen that. Well, I didn't know that existed. Kind of the same thing. Like, I grew up right there. We drove by this area all the time. I never knew some of these little things existed. So, yeah. So yeah, we turn that down a little bit. Yeah, it was really interesting. But that's why I like to explore. I like to find those little things like that. But there were all these little cool things that were free, local. That, you could have easily taken kids and killed a couple hours every day, or once a week, or once every other week. You just make a commitment. Once every other week, we're going to go do something. No matter what it is, we're going to go do it. Whether it's just going to the beach, which is free. All you got to bring are snacks. And depending on which beach you go to, maybe you have to pay for parking. But other than that, beach is free. And there are a lot of, like, free beaches. I was looking for a handicap ramp to get up on the sidewalk there. If I missed it, I don't know where it's at, so we're just going to go this way. Oh, we're not going to go up that. We'll go up this. I've always driven here. I've never noticed there's no handicap thing there. But, yeah, been in out these doors, the United Club, Suite Levels doors. They're probably a dozen times. And I've never parked in that side of the parking lot, but I've parked over here probably a dozen times. But yeah. And then look at this over here off to the left. That's where you come out or go up. It's just a giant winding ramp, but it's exposed to the elements. So if it's a football day and it's snowing 6 or 7 inches an hour, that's getting, when people are leaving, they're in that. If it's -5 degrees, people are in that. If it's sleeting, people are in that. You would think that they would cover that or something, but what do I know? You got the horses over here, the statues of the quote-unquote Broncos. Some kind of ego statue there. More ego stuff. Yeah, I don't really care because I don't watch football. I don't give a rat's ass about it. The only reason I even moderately or somewhat support, there's a Colorado Sports Hall of Fame right here. The only reason I even remotely support sports teams in cities, because I don't care. I don't want to see my city spending $50 million to revamp the stadium that's privately owned. Sorry, I just don't. I don't want to see the state give it a grant. Blah, blah, blah. Because, the owners don't want to spend any money to fix anything or to revamp anything. They want the taxpayers to. And that comes back to our other discussions about, it's all about converting wealth from citizens to private entities. So, they'll go to the city and they'll say something like, oh yeah, let's, we want to repaint it, but it's going to cost us $8 million. Can you give us $8 million? And the city says, no, we don't have it. And they go to the state, can you give us $8 million? And they're like, no. And they say, well, what can you give us? And they're like, oh, well, we can probably give you $2 million. And then the state says, yeah, we'll give you $2 million if you match the other 4. And they, blah, blah, blah. And they might go out and crowdsource the rest of it or whatever. Or maybe the owner, the team itself, will put up the money, or the stadium. In that case, it's Empower Field. Maybe Empower puts up the money, whatever the case may be, because they only pay for naming rights. They don't actually own the stadium. On your left. But yeah. But when they come back and they ask the taxpayers for money, and the only reason I even moderately am okay with it, I haven't gone on a campaign to, try to convince politicians not to support it, because politicians aren't stupid. They know if they don't support the home team, then they're going to lose supporters in their districts, whatever district it is. They know that. So they have to put on that performative politics, even if they don't like it. They might come out and say, oh, I'm more of a hockey fan. I don't really watch football that much. But, go Broncos, that kind of thing. They have to say it. But it's because of the merch sales and the ticket sales and the hotel room sales. That's the only reason I even remotely support it. Because I read a study, I think it was in an article, but somebody had done the finances of it. And they're like, yeah, the city of Denver, the state of Colorado, makes X amount of dollars a year from tax revenue on hotel rooms and restaurants and all this other stuff. We'll go up this way. Merch sales and selling, jerseys and mugs and hats and stuff. They make X number of dollars a year in sales alone on these things. It's the only reason, because as long as they're making those taxes, they're not raising citizen taxes that much. That's the only reason I support it, or don't unsupport it. But I don't care about sports one way or the other. People always ask me, because I'm a big dude, people always ask me like, oh yeah, you're going to watch the game today? And I'm like, who's playing? They're like, Broncos. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't watch that, I don't care. Oh, do you watch hockey? Nope. Are you a basketball fan? Nope. Soccer? Nope. What do you watch? And I'm like, the news, TV shows, documentaries, movies, whatever I'm in the mood for, but it's never sports. You want to go outside and throw the ball around? I'll go outside and throw the ball around with you. You want me to sit on the couch for 2 hours and watch a sport? No. Not interested. Not my bag, baby. But yeah. So yeah, so something else happened. Not happened yesterday, but I had an epiphany yesterday, and I can't remember what it was. But I remembered thinking, oh, next time I go on a bike ride, I need to bring that up. Maybe I'll bring it. Maybe it'll come to me later. I don't know. Oh, look at that garbage. God, I hate seeing it. This is Spear. So this is kind of not where we started, but we spent a minute on Spear. Up here, we're going to see I told you there's a guy doing a setup where he's going to selling food and stuff. That's going to be right up here on the corner. We're not going to go that way because we came that way. We're going to cross the river here, but you can see him ahead there with his selling drinks and food and stuff. Which, again, I don't care. I don't know if they have to have a permit or if it's, because it's a holiday, it's permitless. It's first come, first serve. I don't know what the deal is. So I'm looking at the girl down there talking to the dude. She looked like the girl I was hanging out with yesterday, if she had dark brown hair, they would look very similar. Like I said, not unattractive, just looks like she spent a long part of her life not taking care of herself. Oops. I'm gonna go around you real quick. Excuse me. I don't know, but I wonder if REI there rents electric bikes. Oops. Hey, puppies. I don't know if you remember, maybe a week ago or something, I was coming on this trail and I noticed there was like 5 or 6 people all together on a ride. Oops. And those 5 or 6 people were all on the same make and model of bike, same color, same everything. On your left. Thank you. Excuse me. So yeah, like I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again tomorrow, Coloradans are an outdoorsy people, as you can see. Now, are there a lot of people still in their houses right now? Absolutely. The people who came out here at 6 a.m. and got a run in, they're not out here hanging out right now. The people that are going to come out later, excuse me, they're not out here right now. But all things said, you can see the number of people out and about. But yeah. Oof. I think because something did happen or somebody said something or I can't remember exactly. Oh, I met a dude. He's a nice enough guy, but I think he lives in the building that I live in. He is a veteran, Vietnam era, if I'm not mistaken. He's an older dude, but he's black. Like, I've known black people who are lighter colored than him. And he spent 20 minutes the other day trying to tell me he was Native American. He's like, yeah, my last name's Dancer, like D-A-N-C-E-R. He's like, Dancer, like just like the word. I was like, oh, cool. I said, and I joked with him. I said, yeah, you must have got teased a lot in the Army. He's like, yeah. But they learned not to tease me. So, okay. So you got a quick temper and you don't have a good sense of humor. I got you. And then I was wondering if I should go up and around here, but I think I'll keep going forward. But yeah, and then he tried to, he was telling me about the tribes that he belongs to, but that are his lineage. He's like, yeah, I'm part Crow and I'm part Blackfoot. And I teased him. I said, oh, Blackfoot, is that why you're black? And he goes, I'm not black, I'm Native American. And I was like, you got some black in you, dude. Like, you may not recognize it, you may not believe it, you may not want to believe it, but you are dark. But yeah, nice guy. He was parked next to my truck, and he's like, yeah, I'm not trying to steal anything. And I said, no, I didn't think you were. He's like, oh, well, sometimes people see me sitting in my car like this, and they think I'm casing. And I'm like, yeah, nope, I just thought you were sitting in your car, dude. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I don't need to steal anybody's stuff. And I was like, cool. I don't want my stuff stolen. And we chatted for a minute, and somebody's burning something. I smell fire, wood fire. So I don't know if it's a homeless person or what. But yeah, I came out this morning. I came to get I have a trailer parked on the property, and I keep the bicycle in the trailer because this bike is a beefy piece of machinery, and it won't fit in the elevator, and I sure as hell ain't carrying 80 pounds up a few flights of stairs. Screw that. So fast forward, and I'm out there getting my bike out and stuff this morning, and he comes out, and as he comes out, he's like, yeah, he goes, you know, I tried to park far enough away for you to get your bike in and out. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that. I said, yeah, it was not a problem. I was able to get in and get the bike out and had plenty of room. He's like, all right, cool. He goes, because I pulled in last night, you know, and I had a couple of drinks in me, but I remembered you like to get your bike in and out, and I wanted to make sure I gave you enough room. And I was like, appreciate that, man. Like, we're having a good conversation. He's like, yeah. He's like, and that effer over there, some guy who just went in the building, the front door of the building that we live in. He's like, yeah, he's over there. Like I was coming out of the building, he was going in, he got in my face and was like, you know, trying to tell me I need to back down and respect him and shit. He's like, motherfucker, you know, this is his words, not mine, but you can't say that to me. I will pop your ass. I will fucking kill you. Like, I ain't putting up with that shit. Don't disrespect me. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's why I kind of keep to myself. Hey, puppy. Not trying to get in anybody's face, not trying to have beef with anybody that I'm going to be seeing on a regular basis. He's like, yeah. He goes, that's why I keep to myself, too. You see me hang out in my car a lot. And I was like, yeah, I do. Because he does. He sits there and smokes his weed or, you know, has a drink or two. He was drinking last night with a couple of friends of his right there at the car, right next to my stuff. But they weren't looking at my stuff. They weren't walking around it or anything. So, you know, like I said, I had a good conversation with the dude. Both veterans. So I just kind of, you know, I was like, yeah, they're not going to mess with it. But I did, you know, look out the window a few times, make sure they weren't doing anything. You know, I trust but verify, you know what I mean? But yeah, but then he opened up his bag. He had one of those like front cross bag things, kind of like a fanny pack, but it goes across one shoulder and over to the other hip. He opened it up and he showed me he's carrying a firearm in there, which is like, okay, I'm not against anybody carrying a firearm. You know, protect yourself. You be you. You know, I own firearms, but I don't typically carry them unless I know I'm going into a situation where I might be at risk. Like, for example, you know, if I can't sleep and I decide to take my dog for a walk at 3 o'clock in the morning, I might grab and open carry a firearm just in case. That kind of thing. Or when I go camping, I'll typically carry one or wear one while I go camping, when I'm camping, because you don't know what kind of animal is going to come out of the woods. Worse, you don't know what kind of person you're going to run across. I firmly believe most people who go and, you know, spend time in nature are generally like good people, like the hikers and the campers and stuff. They're generally good people. You know, they're just out there enjoying nature like you and I are or whatever. But, you know, you also hear enough stories about people camping and somebody comes up on their campsite and ends up robbing them or worse. So, you know, just be prepared. You know, mace works too. I own mace. I have a little thing of mace in my door panel on my driver's side, door panel on my passenger side in case I'm on that side and I need to access it real quick. And I have an SUV. It's in the back that I can reach from if I'm in the back and somebody comes up behind me. Yeah. I will always choose a non-lethal option first if I can. But, yeah, so. The whole thing with that is, I looked at it, you know, he flashed it at me. Like, he didn't pull it out. He didn't brandish it. He just let me know he was carrying it. He's like, yeah, I could defend myself. And I'm like, cool. But the problem is, they told me when I moved in, because of the nature of the building, that there are a lot of, less affluent people there, people with drug addictions, people with mental health issues. Again, it's a really cheap place. That I couldn't have weapons on the property. So I actually had to go out to my storage unit and put my pistol away, the one that I had access to, like when I'm driving and stuff. Like, I went and put it away because I didn't want to get into a position where, somebody saw it. Or worse yet, my truck got broken into and they stole it. Because again, if I can't take it into the building, then I'd have to leave it in the truck. If I have to leave it in the truck, you know what I mean? Then it's at risk of being broken into, Take any one of these steel bottles that we all carry these days with full of water, and you can break a car's window. May take you a few tries. May not be as easy as using a hammer or a crowbar or something, but still do it. This is why, all the parking lots have signs that say, don't leave belongings in your vehicle, because they're temptations. I mean, even riding the bike, sometimes I pass some of the homeless people and they're looking hard at my bike, like they're trying to figure out if it's something like worth stealing. Now, nobody's made a move yet to like step in front of me, try to block me, flag me down, or put me in a situation where they could try and steal it. But I see them looking. I'm aware. Just like yesterday, my friend came over. I wasn't quite sure if she was, again, flirting with me or not, because she's never flirted with me before, so I don't know. But she was saying things like, when you get into your permanent housing situation, it'd be really cool for me to have somewhere to go with a cool guy to hang out and stuff. Like, is she saying she just wants to hang out? Or is she like saying, like I'm throwing myself out there as girlfriend material? Like, I couldn't figure it out. Because earlier in the day when we were having lunch, we were joking around about stuff, and I said, yeah, I don't pick up on clues very well, so if you want to do something with me or to me, you have to tell me. Like, you really have to say, I'm going to need to be F'd now. Or, if you don't stick it in me soon, I'm going to cry, or whatever. Like, you're going to have to be blunt, because I don't pick up on these clues, apparently. I've watched enough YouTube videos where it's the female wingman trying to teach men how to read women. Oh yeah, women won't tell you they find you interesting or they want to date you. They'll ask you they'll ask you questions, personal questions. That's their way of saying, hey, I'm interested in you. I'm like, why don't you just say, hey, I'm interested in you. Like, let's grab a coffee and talk and see if my interest is valid. Like, how hard is that? I mean, I don't drink coffee, but you know what I mean. Hey, I'm interested to, see if, you're somebody I'd like to date or ask out. Why don't we hang out a couple of times and see what happens? Because you never know. You meet somebody, you're having a good conversation, blah, 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 and you're like, oh my God, I just met my soulmate, and then fast forward, you start dating, and, when people let their guard down and they start being who they are, then they start saying the stuff that, might turn you off. You never know. They might wake up one day and realize they were talking in code, because you don't pay attention to code, and they're actually a bigot. Like this girl yesterday, the blonde hair, blue-eyed, blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember exactly how she said it, because again, I was, a little inebriated. But she said something about, kind of, again, hinting that, she wanted to be in my life long term. But she's like, yeah, the people that know me, the people that stick around, the people that really want to be in my life, they need to understand that, I don't trust the government. And I was like, that's fair, as long as, to be fair, A lot of people don't trust the government. Hell, I don't trust the government sometimes. I believe that bureaucracy keeps everybody on the same page. I believe that it keeps everything equal to some extent. But, yeah, the government screws people over left and right. Now, do they do it because you fell through a crack? Or do they do it because, there's conflicting laws and policies and you just kind of get caught in the middle? Which I think is a lot of it. Because they pass a new law saying, X, Y, you can't do ABC unless you do X, Y, Z first. But there's already a law existing that says that, maybe Y is never required for this kind of government service. So Y is not required, but this new law says Y is, you can't get the service unless Y is completed. That kind of thing. Like that happens. When you're building upon established legal precedent, sometimes that's why we have lawyers. That's why we have people that specialize in certain kinds of law, because there's a lot of fishing around. Let's ride around this park. I've never done that. There's a lot of, weaving through a bunch of things to try and figure out what the rules are. And that's why a lot of times when they pass laws, they pass them to where they go into effect a year later, 2 years later, because sometimes it takes that long for the appropriate department, agency, director, whatever, to figure out what they need to do legally. It happens. It's just the way that, let's do that. I'm in Pedal Assist 3. Let's go up over here. And go up and ride along the tracks, just because it's different. I haven't done this before, so right up here. You saw how much the bike just ate that little incline up. No, it's not a super incline. This is not a mountain bike. It is a commuting bike. But so there is some nuance to it. One of those things that, if you're a business owner and you're like, I deal with complicated things all the time. Like my supplier came out and said that, they're no longer able to get the blue ones. And they're like, yeah, that's complicated. I had to go find a new blue one. That's a lot different than, okay, well, they just passed a new law that we have to abide by, but there's a law in 1908 that it directly conflicts with. And there's a law from 1878 that is even murkier. And then there was a Supreme Court precedent set in 1972 that says, we can't do this. But then there was a circuit court decision that says this is okay under certain circumstances, and they have to, they have lawyers. They have to figure that kind of stuff out, which I understand, but a lot of people don't. So, yeah. They don't realize how hard it is to actually write good legislation, especially when there's all these other things. Like, you can write a perfect piece of legislation, but then lawyers, think tanks, legal scholars, universities, all these people get together and they say, okay, well, what problems are we going to run across on this? All right, it's 12 o'clock. Again, I'm going to turn this off when I hit the bridge over here, but, just a lot of people need to understand that that's how our government works. If they pass a law that says, everybody gets an ice cream on Tuesday, great. Everybody thinks they get ice cream on Tuesday. But if there's a law from 1956 that says, the government's not allowed to distribute ice cream, then they have to figure a workaround. Or the government is not allowed to subsidize any foods that have artificial ingredients in it. Well, is a food coloring considered an artificial ingredient? Because it's not, it has no nutritional value. So is it an ingredient or is it just an aesthetic? There are people that have to figure these things out and maybe make even like unofficial policies about them to cover their own ass so they don't get sued and have to spend tens or hundreds of millions of dollars through court cases trying to figure out if this new law can even be enforced. or how to enforce it while respecting previous laws, previous court precedences, or established policy. And that's where a lot of people fail to understand government. But I'm going to go ahead and, because I'm only, like I said, about 1.5 miles from where I'm staying, I don't like you guys, because I do value my privacy and stuff, I don't like you guys following me there, knowing which left and right and stuff that I take. So I'm going to cut this off. Oops. I'm going to go right over here so you can, I thought maybe it was a better view or something, but there's not. It's trash though. Oh, this is interesting. We got, I hate people. I have no mouth and I must cream. Okay. I have 20, I'm not straight, but $20 is $20. All right, so. Yeah. And there's nothing over this way. So, but yeah, apparently this is, again, I'm about 1.5 miles away, but apparently this is, this is on par with the kind of area that I'm in, which the people in the suburbs, like my friend that I saw there, I was taking pictures of her daughter the other day, they really don't get, because they live in a $1 million house in a $1 million neighborhood. And I tell her some of these things. I show her pictures and stuff, the husband or the wife, and she's like, oh my God, you got to get out of there. And I was like, there are people that live in these neighborhoods too. If they can do it, I can do it. Like, I'm not special just because I'm white. I'm not special just because I am educated. I'm not special because I speak in proper English or I have, a good sense of humor or, a modicum of charm. We're all people. I'm no better than anybody else. So yeah, for the short term, I can deal with it. Not that, you know what, we'll go up here real quick. Just because I've never been up here. We'll go up to the end of the street and back, see what happens. But yeah, we turn the pedal assist down. I have to get the battery out because I won't be able to get a ride tomorrow with the battery the depth that it is. Because it took I did 20 miles on one tick mark. And then today, right now, I'm at about 20 miles and I've been through 2 more tick marks. So I don't think it likes the middle side of the battery. But the other day when I got down to 2 and I was like, ooh, let's head back because I don't know what's going to happen. I was able to get back and I still had, and still have 2 tick marks. So I think the first tick mark takes a while. And then the next 2 tick marks are really quick. And then the last 2 tick marks take a while. So, all right. Yeah, we will cut it off right here. Thank you for coming along. I am so sorry it was not that exciting, minus that little incident where I had to call 911. And we will chat again at another time, maybe tomorrow. You never know. All right, bye.